And I'd smiling on the outside, but on the inside, he's sad for Bateman. Very sad. This one's really truly happy. Look, it got to have the wheel sit on its mouth, finally. Ugh, what joy. See? See? What up? Schmoedown rocker. It happened again? Ah, jeez. Is this gonna happen every time Tom does a match? Whatever. Seriously, the wheel thing? Come on. We'll get to that anyway, but we're going to talk the Throwdown. First, prior to this, and that'll definitely affect people going in and even people going and watching it publicly with the recent match, which is why I think they did what they did. But with the recent Riley match, which... Alright, so, the Throwdown, no, not too much of a surprise. Janine pulls the victory. The difference is she ran the table with Audrey Hepburn, which we can put on her strengths for sure. I've never been this happy about Audrey Hepburn in a while, since the last time I actually liked it was prior to my ex breaking my heart twice. So, as far as I'm concerned, I've never been happier for Janine because she needed to prove that she could freaking hang in this division. Yes. It was gratifying to see it, especially after the loss to Riley. That just... we weren't sure, and we weren't ever going to get to see her in teams, apparently, and we did get to see her, and the whole thing with Humphrey really didn't help either. And Warfather didn't come off of a loss to Alba, but Alba at least put up a fight, and Alba was able to put up a fight against Kalinowski. An even bigger surprise, forcing him to answer his 5 to win the dang match, but that dang match in that round 1 of that tournament, which, speaking of that round 1, well, let's think here. What else does corruption have then? Oh. Yeah. Well, anyways, as far as that match, that was undercard was great. We were on a high. We were already going into this main event great and wonderful. And for the most part, there was something about this that had shades of a lot of things. And all I could do was hope, okay, difference is Bateman's going to pull out the win. Bateman's got... And that 2-pointer was what did it the most. Because he wanted to avoid having to hit the 5, because last time the 5 burned him. And yet somehow he pulls it out. He needed to be at least... basically, he needs to pray more for a TKO, or at least pray to pull off enough of a fight that he can actually beat him in like a 3-rounder, or at least in a finals match to where the belt isn't exactly on the line, but it's a number contendership. Maybe then? Maybe? I don't know. It's frustrating, and given everything that's happened, including what's just recently happened with backstage, and especially that just made the thing awkward with Roca leaving, which could have been avoided had Ben won the match. Not only that, he doesn't want to talk to Gucci, and I thought about it over the week of one thing that was the real catalyst for it. 50th anniversary Chill to Action. It was revealed to him that Gucci and his own manager and his own tag team partner, his own team's partner, went team guy over team Bateman, because you know how the action is. It's that and Team Trader. That's part I'm not on board. It's Team Action or go the fuck home as far as I'm concerned. It baffles me, man. And it bothered me. I felt like I had to go suicide watch with him or something, and I finally said what I was actually wanting to say once I cleared my own head, and I didn't have to. It led to a weird thing in the Zoom chat for Gucciverse. Yeah, which is another thing. I wind up having to take out of the general's chat and wind up joining the Gucciverse because I knew I couldn't do both affordability wise. which is unfortunate, even though I'm still able to sneak into the chats for a little bit just to see what's going on. I don't know. Just. But it was. Oh, man. And Warfather's still good. He at least had. It was a fun match. Even he had fun with his undercard thing. But the. And even to the point where even both Mara and, like, Merle are baffled. You know you played a damn hell of a game prior to all this bull. For Merle to be like, what the... excuse me for that. Whew. Some dang coffees today. I tell you. Anyway. It's frustrating, especially when you finally... When the one bit that Action has that I'm tired of. Sick and tired of personally. Is this whole thing where Guy beat Merle, which was on a fucking whim, and then Bateman plays his ass off twice and still can't get it done. Even though he did everything he needed to do. It's just, once again, it's the luck of everything. He even said it himself once you get past the kayfabe stuff that he started doing after the match, which is where things went to crap. And I think it was just him imploding. I think it was also the fact that he never shit on Barbarian and he never shit on Merle. But everyone else that might have been in that faction that he could think of, he did. Including Riley. And I don't think he would have so much Riley as much had it not been for not only the Who's the Boss loss, which is a factor for sure, but it really amounts to the 50th anniversary thing where Riley and Gucci said Team Guy over Bateman. That is what really, I think, set it in. I mean, it already set it in, and he was starting to question it a little bit. And it just sucked to see what happened to Guy. And then Guy get his heat. Now Bateman gets this heat too. And it sucks even more because the two-porter had to be in the category that he's known to ace at. And it happened to be one that nobody remembers. One that, honestly, that even Rachel Cushing herself said, it's a fucking three-pointer. I mean... And the thing is, he did handle things well to where he talked and tried to figure out what was going on with PJ, and it was respectful to PJ as much as he could, and or at least that's what was said. And because it's apparently the Facebook's been getting toxic. The only thing I bother to keep track of are the groups I've created. I keep track of certain aspects where it isn't as toxic, and I just focus on the things that aren't as toxic. And it's a lot easier. Just try to do that and just fuck these other things. But it's a lot harder when you're involved in chat groups that won't shut up about it. You're only making it worse for the rest of us. And that's why I'm wondering if that's why Bateman quit fucking doing his review, Woodburn. Because I haven't seen anything from him lately. And I think it has something to do with what has happened recently about all that. I don't know, or at least he's sick of tired of what's going on with that. But yet he's been very supportive of me, and I'm hoping you're out there, man. Like if you're watching this, just leave a comment, or at least leave me a message or something, Facebook or whatever, and we'll discuss it if we have to. And I already tried talking to Castle. I don't blame, and it sucks even more, I think, because it was Boatman. And Boatman did a lot for him, and he did something for me. So I told him I couldn't shit on Bate. I can't shit on him about it. I don't know what to say much outside of the small interactions I've had with Boatman. All Nico was saying with his little thing, I don't know what happened in the comments with it, but all the gatekeepers, or at least the ones that were considered gatekeepers, that weren't really all that bad, and I personally hated what happened with the Doman thing, even though I did hear things on that, but I guess between him and Case, but Case was kind of what I'm up in the air with him. With him, it's like a Roca situation, I guess, but the difference is I can't even bitch about him because of what he'd helped me out with my own personal issue that I had mentioned with some family issues. So for that I respect him. I don't know about his other stuff, everything else, and that's how it is with that. So it sucks a lot, and it's nice to hear that Barbarian had bothered and I think even more so because finding out that Barbarian and he had straight up told Ben that it was going to be him and Barbarian that was going to be a team, and it wound up last minute deciding to change his mind and go to Founding Fathers over, I guess, some things that might have maybe possibly Bateman had said to him, and understanding that he knew Who's the Boss was never going to be back in the tournament because of what happened with the title match. And it's both, and he's dealing with, and he's coming off of this loss after having a win that was kind of whatever. I mean, I was just hoping he'd finally conquer the moral thing and be done with it after finally going to past Guy. And it sucks that's not the case, though. He can at least say that, he's getting a partner with Cushing before a Guy ever does, which he was really up in arms about, by the way. So, you could just throw that at him if you want. Bateman, there you go. That's kind of what I gave you when it came to the backstage thing. If that clarifies it, I doubt you'll see this, but even if I post it, but I was worried about you, man, and with how that was how it was gonna go, because I was just as frustrated, and I kind of went and kind of embarrassed myself in the Gucci verse a little bit, and so in front of some big wigs in C2A and stuff, and I'm even more bummed because I'm not gonna bother editing this out. I'd like to apologize for that thing. You know what it is, without going into the details. I'm sorry. You are not worth snoozing over. I'm just also lucky I haven't done that to Gucci himself when he's on in the Zoom calls. So I'll keep that as an undefeated streak. So there's that. So yeah, I didn't mean to, and I was kind of went off about a bunch of things. So just if that's especially for Danny mostly, because I know at least PLD and I'm sorry to them too, but her and Kelsey as well about that. But it's just whatever with that. When it comes to the matches themselves, it is baffling, and even at least Dan had some nicer things to say, and he wasn't gonna knock. He knows he's the GOAT. He can't. He's the thing, and now the only good thing you could say is that he just added something to his legacy, and it's not like he needed it. Bateman needed this more than Dan. Yet somehow it just happened to be Dan, and it still baffles him that it turned out that way. It's just it's a 2-pointer that's, yeah. I couldn't even remember his name either, so I can't even blame you, and that's what bothered me too. But I felt like you could have gotten it, though, and it sucks you didn't. I'm bummed for you, man, and I'm as much as everyone else in Army and even the Nerds and Suits crew. The salute, Ty Straighten, for you. And it still makes me mad, and I think that's part of it, what happened with it. And it's also just, and I think what's only going to further fuel it, even going into the next backstage, we get backstage, is what happened in a certain match going forward, even though that was more just bad connection stuff, but it doesn't help, and it would have hurt more had, we'll get to, we're going to get to that point, because that just happened recently. But it wound up, we started off with and with some matches that slightly came off shades of what we got from that match, which also goes to show where round two's coming out of, between Draco and Brendan and Kid Meyer, and somehow Brendan did pull the win. It was I think it was a somewhat tight match, I think. And it was, I don't know, it was pretty good with what that was, and I think the Kid might, and who knows, given who he's going to wind up facing, which we'll see. It probably more than likely will be Collins. But if Lon can pull off an upset with that one, then who knows how that's going to go, I guess. But which would make it an interesting rematch with that. But Collins and Meyer would is definitely more likely a chance, given what happened with the Roker match. And then, of course, Chance and Miller was another one that was interesting. And before that, it was the Jeter and Tom match. a both hysterical, how to basically, at this point with how the virtual matches are being done, how to stay in character and still be boss at trivia. Pun not intended, by the way. Given one consider, and just 101. I mean, that class 101 there, right there. More so or less with Tom right now. And it's not that Jader didn't put up enough of a fight. He actually managed to get all of his points, forcing Tom to have to once again have to answer his more so this time around. Just his 2 and his 3 more so, and he did it. Even though like there was a little bit of a sketchy moment where he basically said where he was trying to challenge, but because of it, the only when it comes to how to answer, NB is still in character. However, when it comes to trying management, once again, Tom is having another issue with Kate. Because Kate nor Grace can read that past his kayfabe and to know that he's actually challenging. And that was on, and that could have cost him a chance to get the 2 points that he would have had. But given the way the wheel would have happened, I don't think it would have mattered, given how everything played out with the wheel round, which screwed him, is what screwed him to Jader, to be honest. And what he wanted pulling out in round 3, all the questions that he got right, that perfect round 3. So, which still have forced him to answer his 2 and his 3 regardless. So it wouldn't have really mattered anyway. But yeah, I see why like that. But that was understandably challengeable, and it could have changed up the game a little bit, just a little bit, but not by much. Because Jader would have still had to answer his, and it still would have led to him. So the outcome still would have remained the same. So the complaint is whatever, but it's understandable. And now it just, but yeah, now Tom moving forward, who knows what he's going to face, which unfortunately probably will be if it's Irwin, it'll definitely be a test for Tom for sure. Though Tom has faced Irwin in teams last season, so and that was more a surprise thing. So if anyone could potentially take out Irwin, if for some reason my boy in the dungeon, the Z-Man or the Z1000 at this point, can get the job done, then it's a different story. And if Z1000 can, then I honestly think it'll be even more interesting, him and Tom, especially their history as well in teams, given that their starts in teams was against each other when it came to Looney Bin versus as a dungeon head and dungeon master, I feel very disappointed that I am forgetting the team between him and Moyama. I know it was him and Moyama, I just can't remember the name of the team, and it's bothering me very, very much. And I have I'm going to be mad when I finally remember it. And I apologize to Kaiser, because you probably can. Loose cannons. I got it. Loose cannons. Yeah, they got it. Safe. But yeah, that's a potential possibility. And then, of course, this Shannon Miller versus Chance. Both players needed a chance at the very least. Can say one thing with this season in singles tournament. He finally got over the round 1 hump, or at least got a chance to fight someone and, come out on top for once, but barely. Which I think should have been a hint at how to deal with Liz Shannon Miller, given Liz Shannon Miller just came off a TKO. Luckily, which meant this was going to be a tight match, which I should have known this would have been a tight match because of it. And it turned out to be that way. The difference being that the 5-pointer, because of the fact of a recent promo she did, she literally said her cat's name is Tank Girl. So obviously she thinks the world of this movie compared to most people that shit all over this thing. So yes, of course, Liz had a Tank Girl 5-pointer question, and for movie release dates, and she acted like it was nothing. For obvious, because her cat's named Tank Girl. I'm surprised she didn't go out of her way and say that too. But I loved her promo too with the cat again. And this time Eric Kirsty yeah, we cursed this. It felt more like a Quirky Mercs promo though than I would say swag necessarily. Just, or at least it went from a swag promo to potential swag to turn Quirky Mercs, which was funny in and of itself. But regardless of it, either way it was funny. But And Tom's funny, and yeah, hopefully, I don't know if Jader wants to consider him as much of a best friend, but now Bernie and Droots are completely out of the tournament. Jader was their only last saving grace hope at this point. Even though let me double check here and see, the answer is the Droots. That's fuck. Yeah, the Droots. No, yeah, the Droots are out. It was mostly Geralde and them on that side of the bracket. So as I remember, was Bonnie being on the very. Yeah, so it's essentially for the Jader was their last hope for that, but there's hope now with him and Hannah in teams, given that they are technically the best players in that faction. I understood why Ken went that route, so I don't know if that was something Burnett would have done. He might have kept Deep 13. I don't know, but that's neither here nor there at this point. But this is probably one of the better moves Ken has made, whether or not Hannah will want to admit it or not. But especially now that he's got those curls. Have you seen his recent pictures with Sabrina? Yes, that's Sabrina. I wondered if it was her idea, because I think she's got to be a Boy Meets World type of girl. I mean, come on. Because that was a very Corey thing with that hair, I'm telling you. But anyways, seriously, check out the Instagram. I'm telling you. I didn't look bad, but I'm just saying it's different compared to his usual slick back type of thing. Unless that's his natural thing and he just has a slick back for stuff like that. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. If he's going to keep that hair. It's going to be funny if he does. Because I know he's going to get shit for it somehow. Because of how fucking toxic it is. And I could see it. But he's handled worse. He's kind of helped with that, honestly. And unintentionally, I think. But anyways. Or at least the way his promos. He's doing his job. But don't get me wrong, though. With that. But even whether like it or not, that's just how it is. Or we all come to hate Hannah apparently from all this. But anyways, well, other than that, then we have Riley versus Perry. Could go either way, and it all depend on and it took the fact he needed to have fun. The thing that would have been the worst of factors is the fact that essentially Riley wasn't able to have his manager when he needed him, essentially, because of lag issues or just bad Wi-Fi situations, and he wasn't really where he probably should have been, at home or something, because it had to happen when it was wherever he was. So it was sort of funny, him popping in and out in a way, but at the same time, it was, given what had just happened with the pay-per-view, it's not a good look for Tom. It's just going to be extra fuel for backstage for Bateman to use. And I see that happening. And it would have really been fuel had Riley lost. He's there. There's that slight grasp of it coming back, and he somehow managed to pull his 5, forcing Perry to get to it no matter what, even though he missed the 3. He got his 5. Regardless, it was enough to force Perry to have to go to her 5, regardless of whether or not she hit the 3 or not. I think she hit the 3, but if she missed it, but apparently she missed it. But all she needed to do is hit the 5 anyway. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen, as luck would have it. So, not that she didn't answer 5 in her round 1 match with Kalinowski. So it just, but she's proven she can hang still, and it was a tight match. And that's exactly what happened. But as Harloff had stated. So, and I'm glad that it's what it turned out to be. Because, and at this point, Riley does need this, even though I don't think he really needs to prove that much. In terms, his accolades are enough to me, personally. But I understand what he needs to do for himself personally, is to have finally just sit back and have fun with this game. I'm glad for him that he did pull this out. But given who he may wind up facing after his match, which of course is Snyder or Yama. Clearly, he personally has his thing with Snyder, and he wants him. But I want to see how if this Riley coming out of this is going against Oyama, if he pulls out the win against Snyder, which I think he can, more than likely. I'm hoping that what we get for Snyder Oyama 2 is going to be more of a barn, for even being just the round 3 match, be more of a barn burner. And they actually put up a fight against each other. I don't want them to, and whatever the fuck that championship match was, which is still probably up there, second to worst compared to, or at least third to worst in comparison, I guess, to the, or at least it's the third to worst championship match that's ever been known, unfortunately. And this is their redemption time. This is the thing they need to do. All they need to do is have a great actual legitimate great match here. And whoever comes out on top can be proud of themselves. That's all they need to do. And no matter what, Riley is waiting, and this is hopefully the Riley of old. And that Riley, I think I think will still be able to beat Snyder. If he, for sure, given where he's at, head is kind of at, especially depending on how if he does make it out of this match against Oyama. But I think Oyama will find a way to win. I don't think he'll have the issues that he had before in that match. So he's had some issues after his Roka match, but when he bounced back more into the final exam teams, and hopefully he's proven to bounce back when he came to Marcel Marquis. But she played up pretty good with him. Good match against him. So. And then, of course, Luciana Miller beating Chance was something. Chance has nothing to hang his hat on. It sucks that when it came to his 5, but because it was back and forth for a while with that one. But she's just got to await basically Barbarian or Bibbs. Either way, she's going to have her work cut out for her, and that's going to be her real test. Meyer and Collins. Collins' real test is if he can beat Kidd. But maybe Kidd might have a chance this time around. Who knows how this is going to play out with that? That's could go either way for sure. More, but that all depends on how if he can mow through Long. Unless Long can actually pull out the win, surprisingly, depending. But yeah, and that's overall. That's what I think about the first week, and but let's see how everything is going to be said going forward, because it was awkward to an extent, and it was sort of a Finstock hour, but it wasn't much of one for Bateman, aside from him trying his best not to do that, but they kept kind of pushing his buttons a little bit. Roka kind of did, so with that thing, but just it still bothers me a little bit, and it's I've never been that pissed off since between the Collision 3 and what's been happening with my dungeon all this fucking year. Aside from the wins we did get. And the wins we did get, but it would have meant more if he pulled it out against Irwin, but as just luck would have it, and that's not the case. They just don't like my dungeon, and I don't know if it's the thing against me, what God has against me in this year or something. I know the years shift for everybody, but for some reason, I already felt like I was feeling like I was going to get when it comes to just how it is, and it's happened, like I said, the band and everything. It bothers me, okay? I'm not going to lie. So, and I just kind of, I'm hoping at least if, by the time, if they wind up losing somehow in their playing match or in the follow-up match, Adam and Zipper, I'm basically want 2020 to be over. I don't care as much about Spectacular. I'll watch, and I'll talk about it, but I don't, my horse in this race is gone. And I've accepted it, and I don't want to, actually, because I'd rather believe that I'd want 2020 to at least end on a good note as opposed to a bad, but given the way things are going, I don't know anymore. Aside from, I guess, what cathartic albums I've got and what albums we did get, that's about the only thing. But I haven't been able to talk to you about it, and I'd love to be able to talk to you about it. I'd love to be able to finally get to the Black Sabbath stuff. I'd love to be able to, and I'm hoping to eventually talk about before Ohms comes out, talk about that record for sure. for Deftones and like the anniversaries, the 20th anniversary with White Pony and the 10th anniversary for Diamond Eyes. Going into it, that's my plans so far with that. So eventually, I'm wanting to kind of play with what I got, I guess, to show off a little bit with that, I guess, when I want to do my one reviews. But I may kind of have to hold off on it for a little bit because I want to do some mods to it. So I don't know. So my initial plans are kind of up in the air, and I'm trying to figure out how to do this and just crack down and sit down because it's happening. Okay, you and Kaiser. Thank you for your patience. Okay, and to everyone else. And I guess that's it, guys. And yeah, I talked about a bunch of personal stuff. I did talk about the matches and here and there. I'm not going to bother editing this out. I'm not. I'm just going to put it out there because I just feel like that, yo. So, and I'll probably figure that other thing out I might have talked in here about, but who knows. But anyways, what did you guys think? And for those of the families who actually are trying to help and not actually, just accuse people of stuff, you guys are awesome. Like your Woodburns, and even like your Doug Castles. I probably butchered the last name this time, and I apologize. But anyways, what do you guys think of this? Leave a comment below. Let me know. As always, guys, keep it random. Keep it real. Keep it rocking. If you smell what the movie trivia Schmoedown and Schmoedown Rocks is cooking. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. Sit on the wheel and spin.